He can ask Mr. Nowitzki what he
See, yeah, you'd have to ask Mr. Nowitzki. I did not give him these names. I did not tell him I gave any of these athletes performance-enhancing substances.
So to the extent that Mr. Nowitzki claims that you told him this, he made that up.
Well, I don't know. The document speaks for itself.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can object to the form, but
I'm saying that the form is your question presupposes.
In your opinion, I'll change it to that. In your opinion, to the extent that this memorandum states or implies that you told Mr. Nowitzki that certain athletes had used performance-enhancing drugs, Mr. Nowitzki was lying about that to the extent he said you told him that.
That's true.
Okay. Now, going to paragraph 9, did you have any discussion with Mr. Nowitzki about Kelly White having narcolepsy?
No.
Okay.
At this time, this story, she tested positive at the World Track and Field Championships in Paris, and it was headline news all over the world. So by the time I got back, I came back on a Monday, and they rated on a Wednesday. This Kelly White story was all over AP and everywhere else all over the world.
Okay.
So he knew this because it was in the media.
Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki in paragraph 12 that you kept the clear and the cream in a storage locker located on Adrian Road in Burlingame?
What actually happened was he told me that he knew I had a public storage locker over the freeway. And in fact, previous to that, before the raid, he'd followed me there because I saw him. So what he said was, I know you have a locker on Adrian Court over the freeway. Would you like to go with us over there and open the door? Because if you don't, I'll have a search warrant in a couple hours and we'll be in there anyway. So I did not bring it to his attention as he has claimed. He brought it to my attention, and I agreed to go over there and let him in because he said within 2 hours they'd be in there anyway.
In paragraph 15, he says Conte does not provide steroids to bodybuilders. Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that you do not provide steroids to bodybuilders?
I may have.
Okay, so you didn't tell him that various athletes use performance-enhancing drugs, right?
I didn't talk about any specific athlete with him saying that I gave athlete A or B or C performance-enhancing drugs. So there was no specifics there. I didn't talk about any of the athletes on his list that he created. So he asked me if I would cooperate, and he asked me to even wear a wire. And he wanted me to talk to him about coaches, doctors, athletes, and so on. And I told him that I refused to cooperate in any way.
Did you tell him, well, look at paragraph 17. Was Bill Romanowski the first athlete you gave performance-enhancing drugs to?
He may have been, yes.
Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that Bill Romanowski was the first athlete you had given performance-enhancing drugs to?
There was a discussion about the clear, and at that point in time, I didn't believe that the clear was illegal, and as it turns out, it wasn't. So statements that he makes in here, such as that I told him that it had anabolic-like effects, that's not true. I did not tell him that. but he knew about the clear from the history of emails back and forth, and so regarding that, I may have said that, and my understanding was that the clear was not an illegal substance.
In fact, if you look at paragraph 23 on the next page, Mr. Nowitzki reports that you stated that you did not believe that the clear was a steroid, a listed steroid.
That's correct.
Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that?
It's now they've classified it as illegal, but at the time of the raid, it was not illegal,
that's not my
and
question.
that proved to be
Did you tell
true.
him that?
I don't recall telling him that, though.
Okay.
No.
Did you tell him that Barry Bonds paid you in the form of promotion for Zima?
I did not tell him that, no.
Did you tell him that Barry Bonds does promotion for Zima?
I did not tell him that.
Okay.
He knew this because there was a Muscle and Fitness article that came out in
you know
May.
what? It's not responsive,
Okay.
and we don't know what he knew for what reason.
Okay.
Um,
It was public knowledge, put it that way.
Did there come a time when you decided to write a book about Balco? Well, let me rephrase this. Am I correct that when you spoke to Mr. Nowitzki, you did not mention Shane Mosley to him?
I did not mention not only Shane Mosley, but any of the other athletes in the memorandum.
Any of the athletes what?
In the memorandum of interview.
Did there come a time that you entered into a contract with a writer by the name of Nathan Gendrick?
Yes.
And when was that?
I don't know exactly. I would guess around October 2007.
And that was for the purpose of writing a book about Balco and steroids?
Yes.
And prior to entering into a contract with Mr. Gendrick, had you approached anyone about writing a book yourself or with another co-author about Balco?
There had been a couple of people that had approached me.
Who was that?
Rick Thielander pitched it to me one time.
And who was he?
He's from the Chicago Sun-Times.
And why did you do it with him?
The chemistry wasn't right.
Yeah. Who else?
I'm trying to think of who else. I did talk with a couple of writers about this, and one was Jim Smaltz, who was a writer that had an association with the Weeder publication group.
Do you ever recall meeting with an attorney by the name of Michael Rudell?
Michael Rudell. Yes.